22nd of June 2024 at 9:38 a.m. here on Harstine Island in Washington, United States of America. Welcome once again to our cosmic journey, the Devon Design Podcast, highlighting our journey building the world's best astrology software. Designer Jake here with engineer Trey. As always, hello Trey.
Hello Jake.
How the heck are you?
I'm doing great.
Yeah, we've got
It's been a lovely weekend.
It has been a lovely weekend.
So
We have
far.
some friends in town, and so we're very excited to hang out with them, which is why we're doing the podcast a little bit early today. Happy Cancer season to you. Hope you had a lovely solstice. Hope you had a lovely full moon. The full moon, by the way, yesterday was beautiful. I guess this is where we put a picture in
Incredible.
of the full moon that we saw yesterday, which you will see right now. Amazing stuff, and I really enjoyed it. Anything that you learned about yourself or that you needed to recover after your full moon processing?
No, actually, we sat around the fire. We had a fire pit out in the yard. We sat around the fire. We shared stories about what we learned from our families, like
Yeah,
from our
mostly
parents.
positive.
Uh, yeah, mostly positive. And yeah, it was just it was a really lovely night, and we all got to enjoy the moon in all of its splendor and gorgeous beauty. It was like low on the horizon and just bright orange, just reflecting across the water. It was like out of a movie or something. It was
beautiful.
It
Yeah,
was beautiful.
enough of that good full moon stuff. Let's get to the content. This episode is called Ring Ring After Hours. And in our ridiculous...
I can't wait to see what still you use for the
Oh,
video.
we'll find out. I have no idea what still I'm going to use here. Trey's got a checking question. We have a tech demo. And first time ever, we have a real question from a real person that is not someone that we know. And we're going to talk about that today because it has to do with our product. And I love that. I'm excited about that, but we are going to go a little bit quick because, we want to hang out with our friends. And so let's go to Trey's checking question. Trey, take it away.
What kind of tree are you?
Wow, that was quick. What kind of tree are you?
What kind of tree are you? You can take this question wherever you like.
So I, dear Trey, am a huckleberry. Huckleberries are very Pacific Northwest. The thing about huckleberries is that they're beloved, but like they're kind of only locally known, so they're like beloved in one little place. And the problem that we have in our huckleberry trees out here is that they're completely infested with things that are killing it. So that's what's happening to me. I'm a huckleberry tree. I'm kind of like locally beloved, and all of these vines are conspiring to suffocate me. That's my tree.
Wow, that was pretty dire for a what tree are you?
Yeah, I didn't realize I was going to go there, but you know what? That happens sometimes. What about you? What kind of tree are you?
Do we need to do some like vine remediation for you?
Yeah, indeed. I need some vine remediation work really bad.
Yeah.
Pretty
So,
badly.
so the viewer knows, while we've been at our place on Harstine, which is basically like the Pacific Northwest wilds, Jake basically every day is doing language learning, practicing Dutch, and pulling vines out of the brush, and has done this with such a
Aplomb.
gusto. Yeah, with such a
A plum. Yes.
that I think we've burnt probably close to a dozen giant piles of plant material.
Yeah, when you pull out these blackberry brambles, they have these root structures at the bottom that are like rocks. They mostly look like hearts, so I call them demon hearts, and I burned about 7 demon hearts yesterday. That's how I spent my full moon.
Yeah, there's something very metaphorical about like pulling the thorny vines out of the hedge.
And
Anyway,
the good news, just one other thing, the good news is, ik kan nu een beetje Nederlands spreken. So we got that going on
yeah,
for me as well.
yeah, good job.
Thank you.
I think I am a ficus. Super fidgety, like just starts dropping leaves when there's like the slightest breeze or there's too much light, there's not enough light, it's too much water. Like super like freaking fidgety tree, like starts losing leaves if you move it.
I appreciate that you said that as opposed to like an orchid, because an orchid is like delicate and beautiful. A ficus is just kind of like plain and like, blah.
Exactly. Yeah, that's exactly it.
It's like for as plain as it looks, it should not be as fidgety as it is.
Like there's a lot of effort for just like what gain, you know?
Exactly. I like that. So we have a huckleberry tree and a ficus. Very good. Good check-in,
Yeah,
everybody.
good check-in.
Let's go to the tech demo. Do you want to talk a little bit
Oh
about
yeah.
what you did this demo season?
I am so excited about this tech demo because um, we had another just kind of like level up in the product, I think. So I'm showing the firmament,
We're seeing it
as the
now.
viewer knows.
Yes.
Yes, I assumed. And what you're looking at here is variants of the ring card. So we've talked about this in the past. I think last week we showed off some of the component parts of the ring card, but we hadn't like actually composed the ring card yet. So this is based on Jake's design. And we're showing we have sort of this what we just kind of call an event, which is a little bit. I don't want to get too much in the weeds here on kind of like how we understand the ring type. But basically, like you can think of it as like we'll have ring types that are like, you know, birth events or like here and now and things like that. And then there's kind of a type which is we don't know what it is because like somebody just went through the cast chart flow. Or is Doc growling?
If
By the
you're
way?
hearing growling in the background, it's not
Okay.
me that's growling. I just want to let you know, everybody. That is our dog. I love what's going on here. I'm not growling. All right, go ahead.
Doc loves it too. That's how he shows his love for it, but it's by growling. Anyway, so if you just like cast a chart, and we don't know what kind of chart it is because you just put in just enough data to cast a ring, then it'll show up like this, and I'll demo this in just a second. And then we have like sort of here and now with location without location variants, and then like a birth event, for example. And so here we have like a notable birth person where you can see that there's like a nice gradient here, and then here we have like a normal person or maybe somebody whose birth information was entered by a member. So yeah, so then I'll go to, so that's kind of like looking at the ring variants.
You know what I have to say about that?
What is he growling about?
I don't know.
Anyway,
He's
doesn't
got
matter.
his ball in his mouth and he's growling, so he's obviously having an emotional reaction to something that's outside. I couldn't tell you what it is. I'm looking. I can't see it.
I just heard the neighbor's dog bark too. Anyway, so I'll go through. So cast chart. I'll just cast this because we already showed cast chart, and so we'll talk about more about like with the visuals that's going on here in just a second. But we've
If you
got
were wondering why you don't work from home, this is also why you don't work from home. This is what every CEO is afraid of when it comes to their company. So sorry, you're
Yeah.
showing us this is an event chart, which is just a generic event. You've done this from the
Yeah,
past.
so I
Please
just
keep going.
Yeah. So I just went through the cast chart flow, which you've already seen, and so now we just have like this one ring. So this is something that I have cast a chart for a specific date, time, location. But then of course we have the console, which the console is still not styled correctly yet. We'll get there. But like I can add the here and now ring. And so now you can see this is transit. I mean, obviously they're both the same thing because it's the same chart. But here you can see that we have the event and then we have the here and now ring. I'll just show the coming from a birth event here. So we'll look at Jake's chart, and then I could like add a here and now ring, for example. And so now you can see that we have a notable birth event, and then we have also the here and now ring, which would be the transits for that. This is like actually looking at Jake's transits for his birth chart map. Oh, and I also wanted to show, I just remembered really quickly, that here, if see that the time is also updating with the chart. Obviously, everything is reactive, everything is updating in real time. And so, yeah, it's
So just
awesome.
stay on this for a second. So what you'll see here on this chart over here is that this is a here and now ring. And when Trey added another ring to it, you'll notice that there's two rings, but it was a little bit hard to distinguish which ring was which ring was what. Well, I'll try to say that 5 times fast. And one of the things that we had talked about was providing. So, okay, another thing to see, sorry, over there, is that we call this ring after hours. You show two rings. Why is it called after hours, Mr. Henry?
Was we iterated on some of the color palette and the backgrounds
Yeah.
here. So you'll notice from like the last video that the background is much more muted
Right.
here. And so we have like a lot more contrast now.
The background
and
also on the ring card, the left-hand panel of the ring card looks a lot better.
yeah. So also, yeah, so we did this as well. And you'll see that like the background here is kind of like multiple sort of blob shapes in some of our, like the palette of colors that we use in the product. And then the kind of left-hand panel here has like a little bit of a sheen on it. And then when you match that with like, we added this button doesn't actually do anything right now, but it will soon. But you can see that like with the drop shadow of the ring of the button or whatever, like everything is kind of creating it's still sharp and has like high contrast, but it's also creating this kind of like beautiful sort of palette of intermingled colors, which I think
so eventually where we're going to go is that, like, you see here, this is a here and now ring. I'm going to transition to my screen for a second. It's going to look a little bit funny, like it's in Duplo mode, but just go with me for a second. What I want you to see is that the background of the ring now has the same color as the card. So you can see here, the here and now has the same color as this. And if I go, if I go this way, you can see here that the native here, the birth event has this purplish. So you can, so you can go here to the here and now or here to the birth event. And again, this doesn't look like the product because it looks a little Duplo mode, but I wanted to just show you a little bit of what like the colors of the ring might look like. And when you do multiple rings, you would have multiple colors, so everything would kind of match up. You would then say, as a designer, but Jake, inclusivity wise, that's not a great idea to match color to that kind of thing. You don't need color to see these things. You can know the order of the rings, and the order of the rings would be consistent. So it's just there as a small visual cue if you were interested in doing it. It's not there for inclusivity. It's just there for kind of styling.
Yeah, and also the interaction modes will all support the connection between the rings. So like at first you might be a little bit confused about like it goes from inside out to top down on the ring cards. But as soon as you start hovering over things, interacting with things, none of those interactions are in the product yet. But as soon as they are, and you do, it'll be very obvious what things go with what.
Yes, exactly. Mr. Henry, last thing before we go. This question is from a viewer, and I was hoping that you could help this viewer out. So this gentleman named Andreas had written us. If you take a look here, Andreas wrote us and asked us, is it possible to implement the Egyptian themes or bounds in the Urania app? Obviously a Urania user. I wanted to talk a little bit about Egyptian themes or bounds and what that means. The answer is yes, we are going to implement that. I can show you now the spec for what's called condition. So a kind of qualitative way, or a quantitative way of talking about condition of a planet is going to be expressed here. This is going to be used for educational purposes. This was not in the tradition. It's just there to learn. But the reason I want to show you this is that when we go into the definition of what contributes to condition, you will see here. Oh, there it is. The bound lord. This one right here. So it says one part of the condition is the planet's bound lord, which has one planet that is bound lord. That is the same idea as what's called terms. So all I have to say, we're thinking about it. It's in the design. We're very excited about it. Andreas, thank you for your question. We really appreciate it. And keep watching, or not. That's fine. It doesn't matter to us. We do this just for
that
us.
Is not true. We do, Matt. It does matter.
I mean, we care, but we don't care.
Anybody who's watching at this point is like into it. Like they've just got to be into it, because there's no other reason to be watching these videos. So
That's true.
For those who are into it, we love you.
What should the viewer think about or do today, Mr. Henry?
Spend time with their friends.
Spend time with your friends. That's what we're going to do right now.
Yeah, cultivate your relationships with your best friends.
Great thing to do here on this, your Cancer season. Have yourself a lovely day. Go cultivate some friendships. We will see you again next week and see you again very soon. Goodbye.
Bye.